I did not do as well as I wanted to on the show. Yeah. What's up, beautiful humans? It's your girl, Amber. Today, I want to do a discussion / reaction video to this video that I was in on Jubilee called Middle Ground. And it's where lesbian liberals versus lesbian conservatives were supposed to have a conversation where we found middle ground. And I realized after doing this series that I don't think that that's the actual point of this series on the channel. And this is why. Right after I left the set and didn't feel good, I did some research and realized that whether the platform is or isn't conservative, the way that they cut up the videos definitely leans towards that. And that didn't make me happy or make me feel good. Especially a lot of the comments are really, really negative. Now, when I was on set, there were some things that really triggered me as well. Right away, when I saw some of the people that were on the other side, I realized that 3 out of 4 of those people have huge platforms where they discuss their beliefs and they, spew a lot of conservative views that often disrespect or downgrade the LGBTQ community. And not only that, but 3 of them often work together on doing this. So they're already in alignment with things that they want to say or how they come across and things like that. So right away, I felt an unbalance and I didn't really like that. Now, the liberal side was really awesome and they made amazing points. But after seeing the video, I realized a lot of scenes were cut out, especially points that were made on the liberal side that would have told our story a little more and made our points a lot more clearer. And that really disappointed me. They even cut out parts where all of us agreed, which I think is really important to share to our community and realize that we can actually do this. We can hear each other out and be on the same page. So I didn't like that at all. I also don't like that they don't have a moderator because I feel like it's really necessary when you talk about important or personal or subjects that people can be passionate about, because oftentimes you'll find one side being more aggressive and louder than other people and continually to cut them off and not allowing them to finish a point, which is what happened a lot. So I think a moderator is very necessary. I didn't like how the first prompt was for the conservatives, obviously, because they stepped forward and had the moment to be able to talk first. And within that, Ariel made it really personal by bringing it up that I unfollowed her and we were friends and blah, blah, blah. I thought it was really unnecessary and distasteful because I was not going to bring her or any personal things up at all when we're talking about the community in whole and not just us as individuals. And I often try to revert back to that and try not to make it about me and the community, but they weren't really allowing that, which I also didn't like. I also felt like some of the prompts and questions lacked substance. I really was hoping for us to get into like the nitty gritty of things so that we can have a conversation where we can really actually understand each other, because I was really interested in hearing their side. I want to understand where they're coming from with a lot of different things, but also being a person in leadership and wanting to possibly pursue a political career, I want to be a leader that represents everyone in my community. So I wanted to hear you so I understand you so that I can be the proper representation for everybody from the communities that I represent. So I wish that we had more questions because there was a lot of information that I was keeping down, waiting for the right prompt that never came. Ugh. I was also a little disappointed because I worked with Jubilee earlier that month on an awesome project to promote the Bayard Rustin movie, which was very important and really powerful. And so to go from that to this really left a bad taste in my mouth, y'all. One part that was cut out that I felt like was really important was when I challenged Becky's thought of expressing herself about her not wanting to date trans women. And then she was really disrespectful to people of trans experience by saying that a trans woman at the end of the day is a male laying in the bed at the end of the night. And it was really disrespectful. But she also expressed at one point in time that she dated a trans masc person before. And I had to explain to them the difference between trans femme and trans masc, which obviously showed how uneducated they are to people of trans experience, right? But anyways, so then I challenged, okay, so if you feel like that about a trans woman at the end of the day, did you do the same thing to your trans masc person that you dated? And the answer was no. So then I said, but do you not see how you just contradicted yourself by respecting one and not the other? And it left Becky stumped because I challenged her way of thinking that was obviously contradicting. So let's talk about the word privilege and how many times that I actually had to use it. Now, listen, I didn't want to have to say it over and over, but I was trying to make a point that I was never able to make. But let's talk about what privilege is. Privilege is when someone has a special advantage over someone else. And it could be in a way of having a social position better than someone else's. Privilege is categorized in 3 different types: ability, class, and education. So to say that every person is on the same level is just ignorance in itself, right? And the reason why I pointed out privilege is because when you have a certain mindset where you're able to like think from one box and not see how anybody else's experience can be different than yours, just because you are cozy and comfortable in your life and feel like you have all that you need and you don't face discrimination at all, to have that viewpoint is a privilege that other people don't have. It could be because of their social class or their education or the way that they appear in the world, right? Or their disability. And so when you're not able to literally think about how your experience is different than others is ignorance. And that's what I was trying to express, that is a privilege for them to think, oh no, we don't need to progress anymore. We're good where we are. And that's why they're conservatives, because conservatives want to conserve the past when progressives want to progress forward. But what Sasha and the other conservatives don't understand is they're able to live in their world of comfortability because of the extreme lefts that fought so hard for the protections and laws and equality that we have now. You are able to live your life the way that you are and say, I'm good where I am because of all the works that the progressives have done. And you not being able to realize that is a problem. And so to have the mindset that we're good where we are and we don't have to do any work to fight back against the 520 plus anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced this year is privilege. So one thing that was cut out of the video that was put in their Patreon video was how Ariel brought up, well, you have privilege because your dad was an NFL player or whatever. I felt like it was unnecessary, but that's fine, because the difference between me versus them is that I am aware and try to be aware of all of my privileges. And my point is to use them to help as many people as possible. But they were so caught up in being defensive and acting as if that word was such a bad word instead of understanding where I was coming from and why I was using it. I went to private school and that's a privilege. I also got a college education on basketball scholarship and I worked my butt off. I am also light-skinned and I understand that there's light-skin privilege. I am aware of these things. Are you? What blows my mind with them is that as lesbian women, they are Republican and they are a part of a party that is responsible for taking women's rights away to their own body, supporting a conservative Supreme Court that overturned Roe versus Wade, responsible for banning abortions in certain places, that abolished affirmative action, and allowed a ruling that allowed businesses to legally deny service to LGBTQ plus humans. And it makes me wonder, as women, especially living in Florida where a lot of these things are happening, like what if one day something happens with them where they need one of these things and not allowed? Are they gonna change their mind then? What if you have a transgender child that needs medical care and not able to because you support a terrible politician, DeSantis, that is blocking all access to having that? And I wonder if they realize that being a Republican, they are aligning themselves with that human. So one of the things I have to say is I did not do as well as I wanted to on the show. I think I was really thrown off by having to explain some of these things that I thought were very obvious.
Everybody gets to live the same
Tell
way
me
as
what
you.
rights we don't have, what laws that we don't have.
And it really threw me off. And I felt like I was trying to find spaces to talk, and I just started getting frustrated that I didn't say a lot of the things that I wanted to say, or a lot of the things that I kind of had on my list that I wanted to speak on, especially the 520 plus anti-LGBTQ bills that were introduced this year, which is more anti-LGBTQ bills than the past 5 years combined. So let's discuss what some of these anti-LGBTQ bills are targeting within our community. According to the ACLU, a lot of these bills are targeting civil rights, accurate IDs, free speech and expression, healthcare, public accommodations, school education, and more. Civil rights, where they can refuse equal treatment, or they support bills that undermine or weaken non-discrimination laws. Another target is accurate IDs, which limits their ability to update gender information on their IDs, which include driver's license and birth certificates, making it harder for people to travel, get jobs, enter establishments, and also puts them at risk to face harassment. Targeting freedom of speech and expression by limiting access to books and trying to ban or censor performances like drag shows. Like targeting healthcare, trying to ban access to healthcare like Medicaid for transgender people, or by blocking funding to centers that offer gender affirming care, or by blocking insurance coverage for healthcare for transgender people. Targeting public accommodations, trying to prohibit transgender people from using facilities like public bathrooms and locker rooms. Targeting school and education by trying to prevent trans students from being able to participate in school activities like sports. Trying to force teachers to out LGBTQ students, which can put their life in danger, or by censoring discussions of LGBTQ people in schools, like not talking about the history of Pride. Some of the other targets were bans on marriage. Over 220 of these bills specifically target transgender and non-binary people. As of May 2023, 70 of these bills have been enacted. 15 of these bills were about banning gender-affirming care for transgender youth. 7 of these bills were about requiring or allowing the misgendering of transgender students. 2 of these bills targeted drag performances. 3 of these bills were a license to discriminate, and 4 of these bills were made to censor school curriculum. More than 125 of these bills would prevent transgender youth from having age-appropriate, medically necessary healthcare. And the states that were most aggressive with these bills, number 1 was Florida, where 3 of the conservatives or the opposing side were from, and trying to act like they didn't have knowledge of any of these things. The other states were North Dakota, Tennessee, and Texas. So one of the points that I was trying to make was I expressed that a lesbian couple had the cops called on them and were facing a child sexual harassment suit because they kissed in public. And when I first read the article, they said this lesbian couple were in Florida, but after doing some research, they were actually in Texas. But because Florida had just passed a law where child sexual harassment cases that were found guilty could possibly face the death penalty, I think that that's why people use that example, and that's why there was an article saying that this couple was in Florida, but actually they were in Texas. And what happened was this lesbian couple was playing mini golf and someone behind them did not like them kissing in public. And when they continued to kiss in public after this person made rude gestures and also demanding that they continue to stop, they decided to live their life. And because of that, that woman called her personal friends that were cops, and they showed up and had these women arrested for sexual harassment of a minor, which is really ridiculous. I heard that those women are suing, and that's great. Because of that situation, it brought up that, wow, something like that could happen with a gay couple in Florida and they would possibly have to face the death penalty. So I think that these things happening in a state like that and not being able to understand or have knowledge of these things, I think was really dangerous and ignorant on their part. I think that they should be aware of all things and not just the things that help their case or tell their side of the story, especially as minorities, being that they are in the LGBTQ community, and one of them also acknowledging that she's a woman of color. So anyways, y'all, I thought it was really important to share these details. If you guys have anything to add or have any comments from that episode, please put it in the comments below. I love y'all so much. I'll see you soon with other videos. Stay amazing and stay proud. Peace.